There's the D17 throttle cable, and it will work. Right now I have it hooked up. Only issue is when you give it throttle right now, it's nothing. Because that slack right there. So all you need to do is put like some washers on it and it'll work. But I already have the K20 throttle cable, so I'm gonna swap it. But if you don't have the K20 throttle cable, then all you gotta do is to find something to fit in there and it'll work fine. So I've learned a few things. So I'm trying to connect the charge harness to the fuse box, and I'm learning that since these are from the Accord, they're different from an EP3 or a Civic fuse box, because the charge cables for the fuse box on the Civic, they have like a bend. They go sideways. I can put this back on. Old cables used to go sideways, but since their cords are different, they're actually straight. They go straight down. So it's a little tricky to put on. You have to bend this up. Another thing you have to do is you have to grind down some of the charge. Hello. So we got the old throttle cable out. I wish I filmed. My bad, I didn't. But all of this is this thing. You just twist that to the left. And then down here, and you just need to twist it. So see that? I twisted that. And then the cable, there's a slot for the cable to slide out. So it just pops off. See this? There's clips in the back. You just gotta slide that in and make sure that white clip gets stuck. I will try to film it the way I could. That white thing, see this? Goes in the crack that the cable will come out through. There you go. And that's how you install it. And then to remove it, you just basically push it off to where the cable is. Oh man, that's cool. And by the way, that's how you gotta get into the car. Very uncomfortable, but yeah, you gotta be upside down, because if you're the other way, it's really hard to get your arms here because this is in the way. What'll help a lot is removing the seat, but I didn't want to do the seat. This plastic thing, you just twist it, and then for here, what I'm gonna try to do first is twist that, put it in the little spot. Now, just gotta open this. Woo! We got throttle, but still a little loose. Shouldn't be that loose. So let's see what else we gotta do. There is a little bit of throttle, but what you gotta do is you gotta adjust this until there's no more slack. Get the center nut loose. You gotta adjust it. So there's one locking nut, which is the one to the right, and then the one to the left, that's the one that you can use to adjust. And when you adjust it where you want, that's when you can tighten the one to the right. Wire up the fuse box. I put electrical tape all around, and I'm gonna make it go through this little headlight hole. It's gonna be tucked in the crash bar and back out to this little hole and right to the battery. I found out that this harness, there was an extra harness with a few plugs. Those were meant for one is the AC, and then the other two are for the fan. And there's another one, which is this guy. This one, I'm not too sure where it goes or what it does, but I'm not worried about it. I don't think it's for this engine. Two of them are for the fan, and then this one is for the AC. That's good to know. Radiator's test fitted. What I found out is you can use the... But the issue I was having, these are supposed to be sideways, but they weren't. So I bent the other side, so it broke off, and I was pretty bummed. So I used some of the extra piece and drilled it. It wasn't enough to fit on the fuse box correctly, and I just didn't want to mess with it. I had to do a hole, this, that. So I quit, I cut it off, and I found this laying around somewhere, and I made it work. But that's all hooked up. This side starter, and then black one would be for the alternator. Oh, with the cover on it, looks pretty good. But an issue I'm running into is the throttle cable. There's a lot of slack, and I adjusted it all the way, and it still had a lot of slack. So I think I need to come up with a different kind of solution. So I have a little idea. So if you look, that's all the slack there is, like barely an inch. I have this fuel line from the Z3, and it's really hard because it has like plastic in the center. and this does not flex. So I'm gonna cut it right there and then cut it in half to be able to fit it through the cable. Here it is. This thing is strong. I cut it in half and I'm gonna shove it where the gap is. The rubber piece came off, but the plastic piece, I left it on, and then I put some electrical tape to cover the crack. And look at that. It doesn't even flex or anything. Now I have full throttle. Well, I can actually adjust it now from the throttle body. But this is so good. Now we can adjust it. But this seems pretty good. Not too much slack. I'm asking for a favor. Can you guys watch and make sure that the throttle opens up all the way? Thanks, guys. So I know it opened all the way now, but it kind of maxes out on the little plastic. And I don't want that because over time that will break. I want it to max out by hitting down there. So I'm gonna adjust it. Now when I floor it, it's not putting a lot of stress on that. Now it's actually hitting the bottom and it's fully maxing out there. Now the only bad part is there's a little bit of slack, but I don't really mind that. That slack is fine with me. As long as I'm not messing up the cable, everything's good. And last thing I want to do, clutch line. In that bracket, we just have to undo this nut and we have to undo that. Get some vice grips to hold this ring, and then get some line wrenches to loosen that. We have our line wrench and we have the 10mm side on. I'm gonna use some can lock to hold the other side and loosen it. There's a one-man job, so I have to put the camera down. So I broke it loose already, but I didn't take it all the way off because then I can think about this. It's already set up for me and everything. It's already bent. And I guess I'll be removing this slave cylinder. And I'll be using this one from the Accord. It doesn't look in too bad shape. And I just don't feel like undoing this line because these lines suck to put back on. So while I'm here, I'm gonna break loose this bleeder and then put some anti-seize so it's easier to bleed in the future. And if I have to bleed again or something, it's nice and easy. Now I'm gonna put the slave cylinder into place. Then I'm gonna put it between the harness. And then once you put it in place, you gotta connect that fitting to there to replace the old one. So I'm gonna put this together real quick. I haven't been filming too much, but throttle cables are in. We have a clutch line. I connected it. I bled it already. Came out perfect. Clutch feels pretty soft, but it's there. Next thing I need to do, I couldn't put the calipers on because the Type S spindles have a different type of shield. That metal right here, this piece, this metal actually hits the caliper. So I didn't want to have to do this, but I guess I have to run the Type S calipers. I really didn't want to. Everything should be assembled right now. Well, Pam, all together. All control arms are tightened. Ball joint is tightened. One thing is the cotter pin. This guy, I'm not gonna put on yet because I need to break that nut loose so I can do an alignment easily and freely. And that guy tightened this. So you know what? I'm gonna do this side too. So I'm gonna pop in the axle, put on the low control arm, put on the spindle, put the new calipers, the new rotor. Let's get to work. Just like that, all the suspension is in, brake line is tightened. I painted all the hardware so it doesn't get too rusty, because this is gonna be a solid daily. But Type S calipers are on. Also, another thing you need for the Type S calipers, you need to have the rotors too. And something else I did, I painted the hubs so they don't get too rusty. And you know that the axles are in too. So in theory, all I have to do is just put the wheels on. I could drop it. Also, what I did, I finally put the drain plug on. So now I'm ready to put oil in it. So I'll be going with good old 5W30 high mile. Super Tech, good old Walmart. Clean this ring. There's a lot of dirt and debris. There you go. I didn't want to risk anything going in there. We're gonna do the good old no fun no game. Definitely a mistake, but fuck it. Oh, and something cool about the K20s, or almost any other K series engine, they take exactly 5 quarts. Like I think just dump it all in. See how nice I am. Oh, wow. Damn, I guess I am no funnel gang certified. So far, so good. Dude, no funnel gang. That's what I'm talking about. Who needs funnel? Longest oil change ever, but done. And that'll be it for this video. We got a lot done. So we got the suspension on, the axles. We installed the clutch cable. We have a clutch. If you have a working clutch, we have a working shifter with the shifter cable, shifter box. And we also have a working throttle cable. Also, I connected a few lines and stuff. So what I found out is the heater hose that goes into the block, into the engine, that one works fine. But the one for the thermostat is a little bigger. Need to get a new heater hose. But vacuum line is in. Evap vacuum line. That's basically in. I didn't need to use a clamp. It's so damn tight. There's no way it's going to be a leak. Those are connected. Only ones left is the fuel line, the two radiator hoses, and the power steering line, which is only basically this one. This one's for the reservoir. I gotta find out a solution. I think I know where I'm gonna place it. I want to put it here like an RSX, but ES1 Civics or EM2s, they have a very short engine bay. That's why it's pretty hard to fit stuff. Oh, and lastly, also what we did is we got the fuse box ready. We got the charge harness all installed. I'll be hiding it under the crash bar like that. And there's a nice cutout here, so cables will fit perfectly where they should. And I snaked it through the headlights, so it looks very sleek and clean. So very hyped on that.